Uzbekistan is often in the spotlight for its reputation for human rights abuses rather than its potential as a top tourist destination. But now the Central Asian country is attempting to change that, leaning on its rich Silk Road history in a bid to boost its economy. The BBC has rarely been able to report from the country over the last decade, but the BBC's Ben Tavener and cameraman Maxim Lamarkin have been invited to see how the country is attempting to lure in foreign visitors.
An opposition in jail, a muzzled press, isolationism. Some of the things Uzbekistan has long been associated with. But this Central Asian country, with its rich Silk Road history, is keen to change that. After decades of dictatorship, the country's new president is betting on tourism to reinvigorate the country's economy.
Uzbekistan has a huge unrealized tourism potential. During 2017 you had about roughly 3 or 4% of the GDP attributed to tourism. I expect to see a significant increase starting this year probably.
For most, Uzbekistan's ancient Silk Road cities are the main attraction. When we head across country, every spare inch of land is covered in fields of cotton. We ask to stop and film, but our request falls on deaf ears. Human rights activists say over 1 million people on the government payroll were forced to work the fields last year.
We still have teachers forced out before school to pick cotton. They use their holidays to do it. And certainly any weekend during the cotton harvest, you'll see teachers and doctors out there. Nothing has changed.
A UN agency has since reported progress on forced labour, and the government insists it is tackling the issue.
As far as human rights, you can see such a huge push from the government, from the president himself, in order to stop the forced labor. Judge not based on the 20 years, but based on the past 1.5 years.
Uzbekistan undoubtedly has a lot of the elements, the history, the culture, the hospitality, that could make this country a successful international tourism destination. What's less clear is whether some of the larger issues, things like the state of the country's democracy and alleged human rights violations, whether they would make people think twice about coming here.
Almost any place in the world, you can talk about politics, you can talk about human rights. So, in my opinion, things like travel can really be a force for good. Certainly as more tourists come here, I hope that Uzbekistan will continue to open up.
Uzbekistan is at a crossroads in many ways. The steps being taken to ready the country for mass tourism are plain to see. But is the country as determined to follow through on pledges to improve on human rights, or are these promises just for show? Ben Tavener, BBC News, Uzbekistan.